Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little man.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
When Donald Trump came out of hiding this week, he didn't do it to bring us together or heal the nation. He wasn't there to offer words of calm and comfort. Instead, he became what we always feared, evoked the worst of our past, threatened our governors and states. He ordered our own soldiers who fought in Iraq and Afghanistan to flood the streets, instructing them to turn against Americans, used churches and the Holy Bible as political props. He didn't invoke the Lord to give us wisdom, but to boost his polls. Ordered an attack on unarmed protesters using gas, rubber bullets, and flash grenades. Washington transformed into a war zone for this coward. This is a time for choosing. America or Trump.
There you have it. These are Republicans that are putting these ads together, by the way. It is unbelievable, the militarization that Donald Trump is trying to order Bill Barr. Okay, so let me just explain. Over the past couple of days, I've seen these little green men. A lot of people have seen these little green men, and nobody understood who these people were because they won't wear insignias. They won't wear name tags. They don't have numbers on the back of their helmets, as is common in units that represent either the U.S. military, the National Guard, or legitimate police organizations, right? And the reason why everybody is tagged, for those of you who never served, is so we can recognize each other. And now what you have is a bunch of people wearing black garb or green garb with all kinds of really new shiny equipment who are dressing just like militia members. Now, if you're a garden variety lunatic militia member and you ask me to, surrender to you, I get to say no. But if you're law enforcement, if you're a legitimate police officer, or you're a National Guardsman who has been called in by a governor, then you don't have the. So really what we have here is this soup of confusion in Washington, D.C. Why Washington? Well, there's no violence in Washington. There just isn't. There hasn't been. New York was peaceful, too, for the most part. Most cities have seen like nothing but peaceful protests over the past 2 nights, right? There's very little, criminal activity going on because the criminal activity has been stopped in its tracks by local police. There are people, 7,000 arrests have taken place because people sought to insert themselves into millions of peaceful protesters and take advantage of the situation, and they were caught, and that's that. So Washington, D.C. is singing, and they are protesting peacefully and all this, right? And yet, on the street yesterday, you could see all these little green men and all these little black, stormtroopers, and you don't know who's who. Some of them didn't have, as an ex-military person, I have to tell you, you can't have like all this crazy facial hair. Do you know what I mean? And so they look like hipsters dressed in militia outfits. Turns out Bill Barr has called in Department of Justice, Bureau of Prisons guards. You have guards from Texas guarding the White House. Prison guards guarding the freaking White House. Now, that's bad enough, but think about this. I told you, all you crazy people out there with the Jeffrey Epstein theories. Jeffrey Epstein was killed in a prison run by Bill Barr. Prisons are run by the Department of Justice. Bill Barr is using and creating his own freaking army. That is freaking frightening. Bill Barr? What's the chain of command? Who's giving orders to these guys? How do we identify them? Let's say they abuse us. Let's say they shoot us. Let's say they use excessive force against us. Who do you complain to? They're not wearing any insignias. We had to actually, last night, all the reporters, me, everybody, we were talking to each other, trying to figure out who these little green men are, and trying to get Senator Chris Murphy from Connecticut, trying to get Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, trying to get the Armed Services Committee in the House, trying to get the Department of not the department, but the Homeland Security Committee chair in the House to start investigating this weird occupation that's happening in Washington, D.C. with these non-tagged, non-insignia, no-named, riot-geared, militia-looking, crazy presence in Washington, D.C. And why Washington? Well, Washington, D.C., and this has got to change. Washington, D.C. is not a state. It is probably the only place that Donald Trump could get away with this, because no governor wants Donald Trump to bring in the National Guard. No governor has requested military help. No governor has asked for the Bureau of Prisons to send SORT teams. No governor has asked for Border Patrol. No governor has asked for the DEA or the ATF or any of these alphabet soups of unidentified military-looking people. And finally, last night, there was like footage everywhere, and we were all talking to each other, trying to figure this out. And later in the evening, there started to come some reports about who these people were. All right, so this was the first inclination that I had that people were getting hip to this. Look at these people. Look at these little green men. Look at the facial hair there. Okay, that's not military. Okay, and there's no insignias. There's no nothing. Okay, so there's that, right? And then we saw Border Patrol being dropped off. This is
literally buses. They are getting dropped off by the busload. U.S. Border Patrol?
Seriously.
FBI is here. That's new. And Border...
Yeah, that was new too. And then... This is the crowd last night. This is what they were doing. While all these militia dudes were being shipped in.
I can't breathe.
This is downtown Washington.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Don't shoot. Hands up. Don't shoot. Hands up. Don't shoot. Hands up. Hands up.
Very peaceful, laying down. Don't shoot. Singing Bill Withers songs. I love that song. It's one of my all-time favorites. When I'm in the hot tub, you can guarantee that and Marvin Gaye, What's Going On, is going to play sometime after the third or fourth beer. Definitely, those two. Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.